how do you get your ideas about who do you reach out to, and what do our healthcare leaders need to know about maybe contacting you, or how does this work?
Well, that's a great question. A lot of people reach out to me because they've heard the show or heard about the show, and they make a pitch to me about being a guest, which is a privilege and an honor and very humbling that people would reach out to me and want to be on my little show. So that's lovely. And I also just keep my ears and eyes open for people I think are doing interesting things, innovative things, and they don't have to have an enormous audience. Like Russ just said, a person who has a small, dedicated, targeted audience is just as important as the person who has an enormous worldwide audience. It's just a different type of audience. And just to piggyback on what Kelly was just saying about speaking up in your own organization, like going to a meeting with management or administration, Kelly, and it comes back to that same old, it's a cliche, but cliches are cliches for a reason, because we say them a lot and they have meaning. That if you don't have a seat at the table, you're going to be on the menu. And I think that's something that nurses have needed to learn. And part of the purpose of my writing and my speaking and the coaching that I do, and also the podcast, is to teach nurses, one, skills about how to present themselves out in the world, and two, to open their eyes to the different things that are happening out there. That healthcare is not a monolith. It's not one thing that people do. It's not all acute care. It's not all emergency or ICU or the really sexy things. It's also the down and dirty things like school nursing and street nursing and going out and working with the homeless. There's so many different issues we can each align ourselves with. And when it comes to advocacy, podcasting's great. I mean, anyone can launch a podcast. It's a fairly simple thing to do, though it does have a lot of moving parts. But I often say to people, if you have something you want to say, a letter to the editor is a great way to get published. Write letters to the editor and educate your local community. And I'm also fairly politically active, and I've met with my legislators. I've gone and done activities at the Roundhouse here in New Mexico. That's what we call it, because it's a round building where the legislature is. And we go during legislative sessions and we advocate with the New Mexico Nurses Association. And there's plenty of ways for you to reach people. And you don't have to even start a blog or launch a website. You can write articles on LinkedIn or Medium and get the word out there and share your thought leadership. So you don't have to have an enormous platform to have an impact. And you never know whether it's a podcast, a Facebook post, a tweet, or a conversation with a legislator at the state level or the national level that can have a small impact, but that can also ripple out. And you have no notion how far that can go. So whatever the medium happens to be, that's the place where you want to sink your teeth in and see what you can do as a nurse and advocate.